Welcome, everyone. Today, we're digging into the final crucial step of the ANFA methodology, and that's certification. Now, I know what you might be thinking. It's just a piece of paper, right? Well, what if it could be so much more? What if it could be the actual key that unlocks new doors for your learners? Let's dive in. This question really gets to the heart of it all. We see our learners grow every single day. We watch them gain skills, build up their confidence. But how do we make sure that incredible progress gets seen and valued by the outside world? How do we make their learning visible beyond the walls of our classroom? Well, it starts with a really big shift in our thinking. For a long time, a lot of certificates were basically just attendance records. They prove someone showed up. But a truly powerful certificate, that's an achievement record. It doesn't just say, yep, I was there. It shouts, here is what I am now able to do.
So how do we build one of those? A powerful achievement record. It all starts with understanding that a good certificate is actually doing two jobs at the exact same time.
Right? It's not just some formality or a piece of paper to file away and forget about. A really well-crafted certificate is an active tool, and it serves two very different but equally important functions: recognition for the learner and communication out to the world. Let's break that down a little. For the learner themselves, that certificate is this proud, tangible symbol of what they've accomplished. It's that moment of recognition. But on the outside, it's acting like a bridge. It takes all that amazing learning that happened in your course, and it translates it into a language that employers, colleges, and universities can actually understand. It's what helps open the door to whatever's next for them. Okay, so what does this powerful bridge actually look like? Let's get really practical here and break down the essential pieces. Think of this slide as our practical checklist. All these elements are definitely important, the course details, the number of hours, and official signature. But the real engine of the certificate, the part that gives it all its power, is step 1, the learning outcomes. And you'll also notice step 6 there, the ANFA wording, which is what formally links the certificate back to this whole methodology. And this is exactly why. Listing those really clear can-do statements that we talked about back in step 3, well, that's what transforms the certificate. It makes the skills totally explicit. An employer or an admissions officer isn't left guessing what was covered. They can see right there in black and white exactly what the learner can now do. This all sounds great in theory, but does it actually work in practice? Let's take a look at a real-world example from one of the project's pilot programs to see this bridge in action. So, during the ANFA project, partners all across Europe were piloting this methodology. We're going to look at a case study from Spain where they worked with young adults, a lot of whom were recently arrived migrants. Before this project, their certificates often just noted that they attended without really getting into the valuable skills they had actually gained. And this slide just perfectly shows the after. That certificate wasn't just a simple note of completion anymore. As you can see, it included all the key components: the learning outcomes, the learner workload, and, really importantly, the estimated EQF level, which helps compare qualifications across Europe, and the official wording that aligns it to ECTS. They truly built that bridge, making all that learning visible and valuable. And, the impact went so far beyond just the technical details. This quote from the pilot report is just so powerful. For so many learners who are outside the formal system, this certificate held this immense symbolic value. It was a formal recognition of their effort, something they could actually hold and be proud of, maybe for the very first time in their lives. And that brings us to one of the most important results of this whole process: how it builds clarity and confidence for the learner. So, this is a really crucial point. We have to be crystal clear about what this certificate is. It's officially called a Certificate of Completion. Its whole purpose is to recognize success and communicate the value of that success. It's a vital tool for sure, but it's important to be clear that it isn't automatically a formal accredited qualification. Yeah, this is a key distinction. When we align our courses, we're basically learning to speak the same language as formal education. We're using their structure, like learning outcomes and workload, to make our non-formal learning understandable to them. Now, this is totally different from awarding formal ECTS credits, which is something only accredited institutions like universities can do. But here's the amazing thing. Even without awarding formal credits, the pilot projects found that just using this language had a huge impact. Just seeing terms like EQF level and ECTS alignment on a certificate with their own name on it, well, it gave learners this massive confidence boost.
It helped them see their own learning as valid and serious.
And that's really the big takeaway here. The certificate isn't just the end of your course, it's a key. It's a key that's designed to unlock the very next door, whether that's a new job, a training program, or more education. It makes their learning visible, it makes it portable, and it makes it powerful. So, we've now walked through all 6 steps of the ANFA methodology. But how do we know if it's all working? How do we monitor and evaluate our courses to make sure they're having the biggest impact they possibly can? That is exactly what we'll explore next time. Thanks so much for joining us.